The lucrative sports writing career obviously has left Dave Hyde in a pretty comfortable position in life. We welcome the show. Welcome back to the program, Jeff DeForest, Mike Lubie Lubitz. We welcome the distinguished columnist. He's won virtually every award, Pulitzer Prizes, Nobel Peace Prizes, whatever prize could be doled out. Dave Hyde probably has one somewhere on a mantle in his home. And the longtime columnist with the South Florida Sun-Sentinel joins us here on the show. David, how are you, my friend?
Well, I join you from the Coconut Grove Bureau of the Sun-Sentinel today.
Nice.
Yeah, is that your backyard? It looks great.
This is my backyard. We got a little green. We're showing a little green for you, you know?
Oh, very nice. No, it looks fantastic. And it's nice to see you in the great outdoors here, or see you anywhere for that matter. Thanks for joining us via, this new sensational modern technology that allows us to kind of run a television network out of our, out of our bathroom. It's fantastic. All right. I have to ask you this because I was so happy to see that Jerry West has had attorneys act on his behalf to try and get some kind of response or retraction or an apology, anything out of the people behind the show Winning Time on HBO, which we've also been wondering if Pat Riley, I mean, you're close to Pat Riley. Has he mentioned anything to you about the horrendous depiction? I don't know if you've seen this of and portrayal of both he and Jerry West.
No, I haven't. You know what? I haven't talked to Pat, nor has pretty much anybody else, I don't think. He goes underground most of the season and certainly for the playoffs. But yeah, I put in an interview request for Adrian Brody, the actor who played him.
Oh yeah,
and that was about a month ago. And HBO said, yeah, no problem. Well, evidently there was a problem, and I assume it's because of the fallout of the whole Jerry West portrayal, and it's what a buffoonery. It was so unnecessary. That's the thing.
Yes.
There's enough drama in that. And good and bad and interesting, that why even do that to Jerry? That's insanity. That's Hollywood gets a script and goes wild with it.
Well, they're not doing Pat any favors. I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
I was in Los Angeles at the time, and I remember doing an article about Chick Hearn, and he had mentioned Pat Riley. And shortly after that, Pat Riley became the head coach of the team. We'd seen Riley's basketball career. It wasn't as distinguished as a pro player as it eventually became as a coach and an executive. But I never could I picture this guy. What we've been saying, I don't know if you're familiar with the movie Blow with Johnny Depp, but Bobcat Goldthwait is there, and he takes a hit of this cocaine that Depp had just acquired, and he says, "I can't feel my face." And that's kind of the way they're portraying how Riley was, like he was just leftover from the hippy dippy generation that still was caught in a time warp in the mid to late 70s.
Yeah, I haven't. I've only caught snippets of it, to be honest with you, the show, and so I can't really. I can't give a great summarization of how Pat's being portrayed. I'll leave that to you. I read the book a little, but it just didn't interest me that much.
Yeah, they do portray everybody as almost everybody comes off as a complete buffoon and a clown that you knew to be very distinguished people in the history of the NBA. All right, speaking of the NBA, we have the Heat involved in their opening round series, 2-0. Against the Atlanta Hawks. The Hawks came in, looking like a shot fighter in the first game, and nobody anticipated much coming from them after they were in the play-in tournament. And the Heat looked great in that ball game. And then Lubie's been screaming for this for the last couple of seasons. When is Jimmy Butler going to rise to the occasion and be the man? And he was the man in game number 2. So they've won the 2 games in 2 kind of different fashions. Where do you see them right now? Because we've been exploring this question with a variety of people, and putting it in the context of the Heat finished as the best team in the East, but are they the best team in the East? Where do you stand on that question after watching the first couple of games of the series and the rest of the action in the Eastern Conference playoffs?
Yeah. Well, this series is over. I mean, Atlanta's not going to win 4 or 5. The question, does it go 5 games, 4, and I guess game 3 Friday night will settle that. But, are the Heat the best team? The NBA is such each year the regular season gets diluted more and more. The one team that really went hard after the number 1 seed was the Heat. And look what it got them. It got them this first round matchup against Atlanta, as opposed to playing Brooklyn in the first round. In the second round, they'll play Philadelphia rather than probably Boston or Milwaukee. So there's great riches to get in that number one seed, and you see why they went after it. Now, who knows? I don't know who some of these other teams are, because they haven't. Even the Heat has had guys in and out of the lineup, and it was even more with other teams. So I know they'll be a tough out, whoever they play. They could go to the NBA Finals. They could lose to Philadelphia in the second round. There's no, dominant team like those Showtime Lakers or the Big Three Heat. Milwaukee and Boston, Milwaukee because they won the championship last year, and they added, they got Brook Lopez back this year after he was out for back surgery, and that was a huge addition, especially when you look if they match up against the Heat. Brook Lopez, that mountain in the middle, and the one thing that does give the Heat trouble, size. And Boston's played great the last couple months of the season. So, but look, come on, Lubie, Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
Jimmy Butler, 2019 season or 2020, it was a bubble season.
Yeah, 20.
It's hard to keep them straight in those era. He carried them to the NBA Finals, and then last year he's awful in the playoffs. So this year will be a defining time for Jimmy Butler, and that was 45 points. I think Spoelstra said it right. I mean, it sounds crazy, but he was Dwayne Wade that game. He carried the game. He changed the complexion, and unlike Wade, he played a dominant role on defense too. So the difference is Wade did that many nights. Butler, can he put back-to-back games like that? We'll see.
When we're talking with Dave Hyde, renowned columnist from the South Florida Sun Sentinel. Follow him up on Twitter at Dave Hyde Sports. Well, and that's the thing is, and we saw that in that run that year where he didn't do it every game, but he said it openly, and it frustrated me. But he said, look, if my team needs me, I'm going to do it. If I fill the game out. If they don't, I'm not going to infringe on what they're doing. And we've seen that so far. Game 1, he was good, not great. Game 2, he's like, all right, everyone's struggling. I'm going to carry us to the victory. And Jimmy Butler's been amazing at that. Look, he did it 45-5-5 without a foul or a turnover. I don't even know how that's possible because he was a dogged defender. The problem for me is, so far, is if you can have one being up 2-0, this team isn't built like that, right? Like, that's what's good about this team, and they use it as a negative nationally. They don't need to just have one or two guys. Like, we've seen 9, literally Strus and Robinson, and Vincent and Lowry defensively have all had a part in this series. My confusion is, where are Bam and Hero on offense? Like, this is the worst defensive team in the playoffs. They're missing their best defender and their best big man. You would think Bam and Hero would be feasting, and I'm sort of confused at why they haven't imposed their will more and when we see them do that.
Yeah, Bam and Hero haven't had good 2 games. I think that's pretty obvious. You look at Bam got in foul trouble last game real early, and he's the one guy going ahead. He's got to play well because they don't have size. He is their size pretty much, and so. But the question for the Heat and in the NBA, we're so used to saying a player will win the title as much as a team. Giannis with Milwaukee. Before it was LeBron and Wade and Bosh with the Heat, and the Heat, you're right, aren't built like that. The question, and Spoelstra says there's many ways up the mountain, except there haven't been many ways up the mountain, really. Usually it's a dominant player or two have carried it. So the question becomes for the Heat, if they get to the second round, third round, where will some of these guys who have played so well in the regular season, the Max Struses, the Caleb Martins, where will they be against competition as it rises? And that's the interesting part, because it's an ensemble cast for the Heat. You're right. There's no one guy in game 1, Duncan Robinson was 9 of 10, shooting 8 of 9 on 3-pointers, franchise record. And in game 2, he didn't score. He didn't even take a shot in, 5 or 7 minutes?
6 minutes.
And so it's the fascinating part part to me is Spoelstra, how he has to keep an open mind on, okay, what's working tonight? Who's working? How are we going to make this work? Okay. And, Caleb Martin, who didn't play at all, hardly in game one, had a nice role in game two. And, they frustrated with the mixing of people and switching defenses. They've frustrated Trey Young. He had bad game. Was a career low scoring first game, and he had 10 turnovers the second game. So we'll see. Atlanta's down to really, their last shot, game 3 at home. We'll see what happens here.
Does seem like the Heat just have too much talent and firepower for the Atlanta Hawks. And we were saying that Trey Young, I don't know if you're familiar with this cinema atrocity, the basketball movie One-on-One with Robbie Benson.
Oh, I love that movie. Annette Tooling was that was a great movie.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I mean, it was just a horror show. And Trey Young looks like Benson did when he first started playing for that maniacal, militaristic
all
coach.
the way up
that
with a red hot poker. I remember that line. Remember that line, Defo? All the way up with a red hot poker.
Yeah, it was ugly, and that's how Trey Young looks when he goes to the middle of the floor there. I mean, he just looks befuddled. And all of a sudden, he looks a little like Pearl Washington did when he was with the original Heat. When every time he would dribble the ball up the court, it would go off of his kneecap and into the lap of some man who was sitting in the third row, flipper popcorn out. All right, Mike Mayo has to come up in this conversation because of this foolish bet that he's made, where he believes, and now he wants to throw in a towel on a thing. I mean, he's really waffling on this, but. I can't help but think back to the image of like Mayo, and I think you were present at this. He was like naked singing Irish tunes in a bar somewhere while covering the British Open or something. What happened to him that he became this cantankerous, obstinate, irascible old fart now that just doesn't believe that anything good can happen in South Florida when it comes to the sports teams? Can the Panthers really lose a first-round series? Can they possibly lose again?
That guy. He was, and it was in Japan, and not Irish.
Oh, okay,
It was in, and he was singing Roxanne. It was just brutal.
What happened to that Mayo? I mean, I don't party like I used to. I'm sure you don't either. But I mean, this Mayo. I mean, he's just rolled up into a little ball and become a guy that like you expect to see on a golf course, going, "You're not getting your ball back," after some guy knocks like a 3-wood into his backyard.
He was that guy at age 30. That was always good. I mean, it's good that his age is developing, reaching a good level of his cantankerousness. It's good. It's perfect age and attitude right now.
Would this be the most deflating result, though, that you could possibly have? I mean, you've watched sports forever, just like I have, and you see teams performing. It doesn't seem conceivable that the team now that has won 11 in a row and, is finding dramatic ways to come from behind. On other games, they're scoring 7 goals. They're getting a reasonable amount, of efficient goaltending out of Bobrovsky, even though he had that little slump, where you can't imagine that they're going to lose a first-round playoff series. Would this be the most deflating result possibly in South Florida history if Mayo cashes his bet and they go out in round 1? South
Florida history. You have to throw that out there.
Yeah. I mean, as long as I've been here,
the files. It would certainly be worse than Panther history. Hockey is random. Okay, it's not unusual for lower seeds to beat higher seeds. Okay, and if they have a question, it's Bobrovsky. But come on, this team should, the way they're playing, the way they've been, and the way they're constructed with guys at the height of their careers, and they're not old players. These are guys right in the prime of their careers. They're ready to make a run. And the question for me right now, and I'm thinking of this column, are we going to have a 2-title town? I mean, is there a chance for both?
Don't write that yet. Don't write that yet.
2 titles. Like I'm going to jinx anything. Come on.
You're talking as a degenerate.
I guess you better do it now.
We go down to the Indian Circle there in downtown. Come on. What is my column going to do? But yeah, could both these teams have the chance to make a run? And that'd be such a fun spring.
Well, you watch sports like I was saying, and you see a team that's performing like this from bell to bell for the season. And unless something catastrophic happened, I know, it could happen with the Phoenix Suns, where they were far and away the best team, at least in the West in the NBA, ran away with that. And all of a sudden, Devin Booker's out, and the next thing you know, they got a little bit of a dangerous team that gets in a play-in situation, and they could find themselves with Booker out the next couple of games, 2-2, even down 3-1. It's not inconceivable. So anything could happen. But I mean, if things stay status quo, I just can't see this team going down to either. I mean, it's possible they have the Penguins or Ovechkin and the Caps,
or Washington.
even though those teams are good teams. I just think that they've done too much this year to see that happening.
Yeah, and give them Ovechkin and the Caps. They'll take care of that. That'd be a good series. The only question, and it's a question for every team, but probably for the Panthers a little more, because Bobrovsky's shown that he wobbles some. He wobbled in the playoffs last year. He did in a recent stretch here. But they have enough offense to take care of that in an early series. The question would be, as the playoffs go on and they get against tougher teams, would it be an issue? And does Spencer Knight come in? And you can see that being an issue down the line. But no, come on, Mayo, get on board here.
I don't get him.
A century we've had anything to root for, of substance.
And he has to cite history, and in this case, histrionics.
He's a scared man,
yes,
don't you think?
Yes, 100%.
Right?
I don't know what happened to him, man. I mean, he's not scared when he's in one of these restaurants. That he lavishes praise on. I mean, we were out eating with him yesterday at one of his favorite spots there, the Even Keel Fish Shack on A1A and Commercial Boulevard, and. He seemed fine, right? And then the minute we brought up this Panther thing, he got all bitter-faced and said, hey, listen, you know what? You guys are going to see. They'll never win a series. Some beef he has going with Doug Sifu, I think.
Put Roxanne on the jukebox.
Exactly.
He'll be a much better man.
Naked in a bar in Japan. This guy's singing on the tabletops. And now he can't see the light on something like this. All right. I don't know. I mean, I seem to recall maybe, even interviewing you at one of these Dolphin draft parties. Were you ever, inclined to go to one of these Dolphin draft parties to do a column
Sure,
about?
I did. I'm sure I did, but I don't remember the great words passing between us, but I'm sure. I've been at
Mad Dog didn't call you over at one point while we were trying to kill 6 hours until the Dolphins made their first selection on WIOD, in a flagship station on the Dolphins, and go, well, you know what? They could go wide receiver, Jim, but if they don't do that, there's a good chance Randall Hill, won't be available, and maybe they go in another direction.
Randall Hill.
And we didn't call you over and say, Dave, man, we're dying over here. There's nothing more to say about this.
The one draft party I remember, Defo, with Mandich was the infamous one, and where they drafted Ted Ginn Jr. and right before that, Mandich is at the party.
Brady Quinn.
Outside at the Dolphins facility there. It was that year they had the party there. Mandich was talking about how Brady Quinn's there. It's working out perfectly, and the grass. I was standing there and Ted Ginn's announced. Oh my God, that was. I walked back in and I remember telling Harvey Green, hey. Because he was saying, okay, Cam Cameron's going out there. And I said to Harvey, you might not want him to go out there right now.
Dressed like Zelensky.
And he said, what would be worse, him saying he'd go out there before the draft and that not going out or going out there? And I go, well, for history's sake, probably him going out there. And he got roundly booed. Good job, Cam.
Yeah. He made one of those John Henry statements that just stuck with him for whatever reason. When John Henry said he would build his own stadium, and everybody kind of held him to it, even though I think he was being facetious. And then Coco Cameron says, well, we drafted the whole family, man. You could trade the rest of those guys. And oddly, he was right. that's the weirdest thing about that whole situation was that Brady Quinn had a cup of coffee in the NFL.
Yeah.
As we said, we're the only guys, Lubie and me are the only guys that ever lost a starting job to Brady Quinn when we got bagged at the radio station for the Brady Quinn show, which I'm sure is an international hit.
Yeah.
But Ginn went on to, a pretty long and I guess, somewhat impactful NFL career. He made a difference with a few teams.
Yeah, it's a long career. And you look at, Darrelle Revis was drafted 13th that year, but really you look at the rest of the draft, there wasn't a whole lot there. So that was actually a good draft pick.
Yeah. So what do we do this year? I mean, will there be a party? I guess that was the point. When you don't pick until like the fourth day. Do they have that gathering at Hard Rock Stadium?
Well, they probably will, but who will go? I mean, it's like I see all these mock drafts down here.
Yeah.
Who cares for the first? It's just amazing. The last 3 years, the Dolphins were built completely around the draft, and everything was about the draft. And everybody was on board with, this is great. This is the way to do it. This is the way to. Now they've traded their whole draft pick, and all the fans are saying, "Yep, this is the way to do it. Yep, this is the way to do it." It's like they're lemmings going over the cliff. And look, Tyreek Hill is a great player. Okay, they're going to be a better team this year because of that. But am I the only one saying, wait, they traded a whole draft for Tyreek Hill and made him the highest paid receiver in football when there's about 5 other impact receivers out there waiting to be traded? Or they're going to be really good with him, and he's a great. Obviously, he's a great player. He helps your offense a lot. I'm just saying that they have a guy like him and Jalen Waddle, and what if they got DK Metcalf or something, a big, strong, or Deebo Samuel's on the market now? I'm just, the cost of Tyreek Hill was so much, virtually a whole draft and huge money. Yeah. And I get it. Everybody think Mike McDaniel is the greatest coach in history, and Tyreek Hill is the greatest move in history. And that's Dolphin fans for you. I love them. They see optimism every year. When they were tanking, it was the greatest move any team had ever made. I mean, nobody had done a better strategy than that.
Yeah. No, I mean, we suggested they should get like Sarah Huckabee Sanders to be the PR director there, because the way that, whatever they need to feed us, they feel free to go ahead and figure that Dolphin fans and the media will buy it. No matter what. I'm kind of a fan of the Tyreek Hill move. I know the Dolphins are set up so that they have all of this draft capital right back again next year. Yeah. So if they took a departure from the formula of we're going to get young and be prosperous forever and have a lot of guys that are easily manageable underneath the salary cap that'll play for us for 3-4 years, and then we'll figure out if we want to keep them. That seems sound, but this was a move maybe that you just make. You're taking somebody comes to you right now, Dave Hyde, and says, "Hey, I've got cryptocurrency that you can have for like 2 cents." You're probably going to take a shot with it, right? Because it's too good to be true. So, we'll see how it works out. You win a little mayo on that one. That was good.
Are they a playoff team?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, how many teams are in the playoffs now? 20 out of 30?
Yeah, that's the problem. Is there's 12 teams in the AFC that can make it, and I think 8 make it? Is it 8 or 7? 7 make it?
I think. Look, Tyreek Hill makes him a much better team. Yeah. And he's going to be fun to watch. And I get why they did it. But usually when you do a move like that, the old one player away,
for a title,
applies, and we're talking one player. What can they make the playoffs? I mean, that's so. I get why they made it. It's going to be fun to watch. I'm just not 2 feet jumping up and down like Dolphins fans are.
All right, that makes sense. We'll see how that plays out. Dave, always a pleasure, my friend.
Thank you.
Thanks much for joining us here. I love the scenery there in Coconut Grove, and look forward to having you on many more times. Now that people see the great Dave Hyde, columnist for the South Florida Sun Sentinel. Thanks so much for being with us. It's always a pleasure, my friend.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks,
All right,
man.
Dave Hyde, ladies and gentlemen.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Play the ponies in style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.